I don't even have words to express how screwed Justin Trudeau is. Whoever is advising him, like, good on you for this move, sort of, but also this is the stupidest thing ever. Justin Trudeau's own worst enemy is himself. The government has done nonstop fear-mongering. Oh my goodness, climate change, we're all gonna die. Quick, hurry, write a check before we all melt. That's Canada. No other country has a carbon tax except for Canada. And so in order to compensate for that, Canada has literal multi-carbon taxes. We have more than one. And now Justin Trudeau backpedals on that very thing that his entire presence and existence stands for. Taxing people. Welcome back to another video, everybody. This is, I mean, it's good for the people that are exempt now from paying this carbon tax, but it's also creating more division through not everyone else is getting to opt out of this carbon tax, so it's not inclusive. Also, why are you backpedaling if climate change is as serious and severe as what you're saying? Before we get into it, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It really helps grow the channel. We're on route to 400,000 subscribers. Who knows? Maybe Christmas will come early and we'll miraculously get there. But before we do, I also want to let you know that the I Did Not See That Coming stickers are coming off the shelves this weekend. So if you want one or multiple, hurry up, link down in the description or the pinned comment below, because again, they are not coming back. And without further ado, let's get into this. So obviously, by this point, you're aware Canada has multiple different carbon taxes. We have it on our fuel, our home heating, and on our groceries. And now what Trudeau has done is he announces a 3-year pause of the carbon tax on home heating oil only for the East Coasters. Let's take a look at the video.
Today, we are announcing a 3-year pause on the federal pollution price on heating oil so that we can give everyone the time and ability to switch to heat pumps. Now, switching to an electric heat pump from oil heating, which is very vulnerable to volatile global market prices, can save people a lot of money. In fact, it can mean as much as thousands of dollars a year less spent on energy bills. So the second part of our announcement today is that, piloting in the Atlantic, we're working with provinces to install a free heat pump for people who are making at or below median household income.
Okay, so you must be wondering right now, why so much outrage? Why is Canada seemingly melting down? Because we don't want a carbon tax, and Justin Trudeau has now just awarded a certain part of Canada without a carbon tax. So isn't that winning? Like, why are you upset, Mr. Sunshine? Well, I'm going to tell you why not just myself is upset, but why millions of Canadians are upset. Because what if you're on the border? What if there's a literal road, and there has to be at some point a literal road that defines carbon tax and exempt from carbon tax? If you're on the other side of that road, wouldn't you be a little pissed that now your neighbor across the street is paying less taxes than what you are for a literal make-believe division line being written as per Justin Trudeau's announcement? It's ridiculous. And he knows that he's doing this. Everyone should know that he's doing this in order to get more votes. Taxes on the East Coast are absurd. I believe one of the highest tax rates for certain income brackets in all of Canada. And the majority of people out there are not on electric heat pumps because the weather is so severe and it gets so cold. Everyone's like, nah, that just doesn't make any sense. It's like having, electric vehicles in the northern territories in Canada where it hits minus 40 or 50 below. It's not practical, right? That makes sense, sure, in Toronto or Vancouver or whatever it is, but doesn't make sense in other very harsher regions of Canada. And so to everyone else who's living in Canada, now we know, hey, you get a tax break on the East Coast, but what about me? Why am I not getting a free heat pump? Why am I not getting exempt carbon tax? Why is it that, so now it's creating more animosity to certain parts of the country as if we really needed that in Canada. And it's pissing people off because, wow, okay, they get a tax break, so it gives them some sort of 3-year rollover period where they can get their shit together and switch to electric as per what the Liberal government wants. But what about everywhere else? What about me? What if I'm on natural gas for my furnace? And what if I need some time to gather the funds to switch to an electric heat pump? Why am I not getting 3 years break? So that's why people are pissed, is it's not inclusive. And Justin Trudeau literally prides himself on inclusiveness, which is why you see him talk about, hey, the Liberal cabinet, for the first time ever, Canadian government has 50% women and 50% men, which isn't very inclusive to anyone who doesn't fall under those gender norms. But nonetheless, let's see what Pierre Poilievre has to say about this. He understands the situation very well, and he'll explain what's going on a little bit better than I do.
Justin Trudeau is in total panic mode. After 8 years of telling Canadians they had to pay higher carbon taxes on gas, heat, and groceries, he admitted that his carbon tax is not worth the cost of heat. Now, what caused this sudden press conference that he cobbled together on Parliament Hill with little notice? Was it because he was concerned at the 78% increase in food bank use under his watch? No. Was it because he worried that 1.9 million visits had to happen in a single month to food banks because Canadians could not feed themselves after 8 years of his leadership? No. Was it because he's worried that scurvy is making a comeback after 8 years of his government's taxes and inflationary policies? No, that didn't worry him either. It was because he was worried that he doubled the cost of housing, or that these homeless encampments are becoming common right across the country? That wasn't his concern either. What caused Justin Trudeau to freak out yesterday and hold a sudden press conference to announce that he was going to pause the carbon tax on home heating oil? The answer is that he was plummeting in the polls, and Pierre Poilievre was holding massive rallies in Liberal-held ridings to axe the tax. Justin Trudeau's not worried about the cost of living. He's worried about the cost of votes.
At this point in Canada, I'm just going to pause what our next Prime Minister of Canada is saying right now, because it's very important for this message to get out there. It doesn't matter really what your views are on, guns, or whether you're pro or not, whether you're traditional liberal or whether you're conservative. At the end of the day, everyone has realized how expensive it is to live in Canada. Even people that are making $500,000 or more, you would have to think that, whoa, they look at their accounting or their grocery bill. Oh, well, that costs quite a bit more. Oh, well, I can't seem to buy 10 rental houses this year. I guess I can only afford 5. Like, everyone's suffering to a certain extent. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're really rich and your problems are you can't afford 10 rental houses like the year prior, so now you have to settle for 5, that's a bit of an issue that is, I guess, good to have compared to, I don't know if I can even eat today or for the rest of this week. Let me really crunch my pennies and maybe I lost some money somewhere in my couch. Varying differences, okay? But everyone's realizing that, hey, it's really becoming unaffordable to live here in Canada. And when you look at who is running, you have someone who promotes taxes, more taxes. Let's tax. What do we do with that money? We send it to other countries, whether you support that or not, but tax. And then you have this guy right here on the screen, Pierre Poilievre, whose literal campaign is axe the tax. Axe the tax. We're going to give you more money. The money that you're making, your $70,000, your $50,000 a year, your $300,000 or whatever it is, we're going to make sure that you go home paying less taxes and you have more money in your bank account. That's the state of Canada, and that's how people are going to vote at the end of the day. You can have liberals right now that are saying, oh yeah, I support Trudeau. When they realize how little money they actually have left at the end of the year and when they have to pay their taxes, they're going to say, okay, maybe I won't vote Trudeau. And that's just how fragile Canada is. And that's the reality of the situation. And so great for everybody living on the East Coast. Like, I'm genuinely happy that you're not paying the carbon tax. But just know that the rest of Canada, should you ever relocate, anyone who's watching this who lives on the East Coast who to be the bad guy, if you were to ever relocate to Alberta, Ontario, Saskatchewan, BC, the territories, you now have to pay that carbon tax. So just keep that in mind, that Canada is applauding you. Yay. There at least are some people in this country that are paying less taxes. But it is a way for the Liberals to try and buy more votes. It's very important that those who are being affected by this and are having lower taxes and the carbon tax is being paused, that's great. You're going to have more money. Like, I don't think anyone is upset at you personally for paying less taxes. You're in the right place at the right time. But it's also not for the right reasons.
And that's what caused his panicked flip-flop yesterday. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary that Liberal MPs, including Liberal MPs from Newfoundland and Labrador, voted to keep taxes on home heating oil. But what does this announcement really mean? Well, one, Trudeau and the Liberals are still going to go ahead with a carbon tax on your gas and groceries, a tax they plan to quadruple to 61 cents a liter. Two, Justin Trudeau announced yesterday that if you re-elect him, he will put the tax back on your home heating oil. Three, he says, don't worry, he'll send you $11 more in the mail. $11. These days, that's a few cups of coffee. Who's going to feed themselves on $11? While he drives up the cost of the gas and diesel that you put in your car, the fuel that goes into the boats of our fishermen and into the tractors of our farmers, which will drive up the cost of all the food we bring home. That's what you're voting for if you keep Justin Trudeau or the local Atlantic Canadian Liberals elected. A 61 cents a liter carbon tax that will force our seniors to cut back on meals and go hungry. It'll mean more malnutrition. It'll mean hundreds of thousands more Canadians jamming into food banks. Lineups at food banks, they look like bread lines from the Great Depression after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. But he's not done yet. So my message to Atlantic Canadians and all Canadians, don't be fooled by Justin Trudeau's latest panic maneuver. He still plans to hit you with a 61 cent a liter carbon tax, and every single Liberal MP is responsible for making that tax apply. And finally, what about all the other Canadians who don't use home heating oil but use gas? Gas, which ironically has lower greenhouse gas emissions, will still pay the carbon tax. So working class people in the suburbs of Ontario, the prairies, and British Columbia who heat with natural gas will be cold and broke because of Justin Trudeau and his carbon tax. He's excluding, he doesn't care about them because he's making political calculations. This is not about environmental science, it's about political science. The good news is that life wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Common sense conservatives are going to turn the hurt that he's caused into the hope that Canadians need. Pierre Poilievre and the common sense conservatives will axe the Trudeau tax entirely and forever. There will be no flip-flopping. There will be no turns of corners. There will be no little targeted exemptions here or gimmicks there. We will axe the Trudeau tax completely.
I love how the Liberal government of Canada and the House of Commons is trying to silence Pierre Poilievre because he's become so popular. I mean, he has, at the time of this recording, 359,000 subscribers, which surpasses my subscriber count, and he has significantly more millions of views on his channel entirely. And that's because people are actually receiving the message that he's saying, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's good. Liberals have way more followers. Justin Trudeau has like multiple million followers on Twitter, and he also has multiple different YouTube channels, and he's been, as the prime minister for a very long time, and so he's had the chance to grow his social media. So it's not like Trudeau's been sitting on the sidelines and is now aware that YouTube or that Twitter is a possibility. That's not why people don't like Justin Trudeau's message online. They don't like it because they are sick and tired. We are sick and tired collectively of paying more taxes. And wouldn't you want to get an extra $5,000 or $10,000 in your pocket at the end of the year just by literally switching who is in power? To me, that sounds fantastic, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you pro getting taxed, or do you want to see a government change and maybe life would be better? Maybe you can go on that vacation. Maybe you can put more money down on your mortgage. Maybe you can even afford a mortgage in the first place if you just change who is in power. Now, it's not that simple. It's going to take quite a bit of time to get out of this mess that we're in right now. And also we are, 2 years away, or I guess 1 year and 11 months away or something like that from the next election. So there's quite a bit of time for things to hopefully get better, but it seems like things are going to get worse. And that's going to be a hard hole for the Conservatives, hard hole for Pierre Poilievre to dig himself out of. We got a couple more videos here of the House of Commons. Pierre Poilievre says this is Trudeau's fun photo ops.
Mr. Speaker, he has the best photo ops in the history of photo ops. We'll give him credit for that. He wants to know what I got done when I was housing minister. The average rent was $950. It's now over $2,000. When I was housing minister, the average mortgage payment was $1,400. It's now well over $3,500. When I was housing minister, the average needed down payment was $20,000, and you could own a home on average by 29. Now those numbers have skyrocketed. I deal in the world of results. He deals in the world of photo ops. I know which ones Canadians prefer.
And that is true. There's a lot of things that Canadians don't like about Justin Trudeau. Obviously, his spending habits are one of many. And then let's kind of finish this off here with this video here saying people's lives after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
No longer is it the case that if you go to school, you work hard, you get a job, that you will be free from the burden of poverty. That is not the case anymore.
More and more working people, more and more people with a regular paycheck are forced to turn to food banks because basically their paychecks, the money that they take home, is not enough.
17% of people using food banks have employment as their primary source of income. It means that the jobs aren't stretching far enough to meet the costs that we're seeing out there right now.
This free seniors food market just a few years old.
And when we started, it wasn't uncommon to have 12 or 16 people show up. Now it's fairly routine. We'll do a couple of these a week and we'll have like over 200 people show up.
Yeah, our food banks can't even keep up with the demand. It's getting absolutely insane. I mean, if you need some first-hand experience of how pissed off people are, show up to a food bank and stand in line, get yourself a cabbage roll or a piece of bread or whatever it is, and just talk to people and say, hey, what's going on? How come you can't afford life? I'm also finding it very difficult. What are your political views? Because, the people that are going to make a difference are you and I, by voting and by talking about this and by banding together over how broke we are and how miserable we are, essentially. And so hard times create tough people, or whatever that saying is. And we're kind of in the end of that circle, going to bounce back. And I don't know if the Conservatives are the actual solution to making all of us wealthier at the end of the day, but I'm willing to bet on it. based off of what's happening right now and the evidence that we have and the tools that we have at our disposal, it seems like Pierre Poilievre is certainly very motivated, very popular, and his message resonates with a lot of people. And I, for one, am more than willing to give him a chance. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.